TVA is proud to power the region's economy, and we're committed to carrying out TVA's mission of service to our work in energy, the environment, and economic development. We do our work within the bounds of certain strategic imperatives: rates, debt, assets, and stewardship. Those require us to have the lowest feasible power costs, a requirement that drives our business decisions every day. They also require us to be responsible stewards of the region's natural resources, to live within our means, and manage TVA's power system to deliver electricity that is low cost and reliable. And we fulfill these imperatives through the performance of TVA people, who continuously improve the work they do. This supports our long-term plan to ensure that TVA meets its strategic imperatives and continues to serve the region well for decades to come. So we're midway through fiscal year 2017. I'm pleased to report we're on track with our long-term plan to improve operational performance, diversify our energy mix, and improve our financial health and reduce debt. The results of this effort, which are on the slide in front of you, are pretty clear. Our effective power rates are lower year over year as we improve performance and sustain the cost reductions we have made, including reductions of $800 million in operating expenses. One of the prior speakers made a statement that perhaps this board is interested in raising rates for the Valley residents. I can assure you there is a focus every day here on low and lower rates, high and higher reliability, and clean and cleaner energy. And I think the results we're showing on a slide would prove that statement to be true. The winter was unusually mild. That means reduced sales for both TVA and the local power companies. But with the cost reductions and efficiency improvements we've made, TVA is staying on track financially despite the mild winter. And our customers are benefiting from the diversity of energy sources our power system now includes. And John Thomas will provide a more complete financial report later in the meeting. For the long term, we're on track to meet our commitments and targets through fiscal year 2023. This includes a target for reducing debt to about $22 billion by 2023 and funding for the TVA retirement system. So TVA and the retirement system share the same goal, improving the long-term health of the retirement system. And changes effective this year are intended to create a strong and better funded system over the next 20 years. Effective fiscal performance by TVA is essential to our ability to produce the results that the Valley needs. As you know, TVA receives no tax dollars and is entirely self-financing. Power revenues, sales of electricity, fund all that we do in the areas of energy, the environment, and economic development. And I'd like to touch briefly on each of those areas. To support our commitment to deliver low-cost, reliable energy, we're continuing to diversify our generating portfolio to lower costs and ensure reliability. In early April, the Paradise Natural Gas Plant in Kentucky began commercial operation, replacing 2 units at the Paradise coal plant. Those 2 coal units had served the people of the Valley well for the past 54 years. And I want to say a personal thank you to the employees who worked on those units. You can be proud of the service you delivered to TVA in the Valley, and you can be sure that we're proud of you. Now, the combined generation from Paradise Unit 3, which will continue to operate, and the gas plant will total almost 2,200 megawatts and support grid stability for the entire system. At the Gallatin and Shawnee plants, we're completing construction of air quality equipment, and work is continuing on the Allen Natural Gas Plant in Memphis. Also at the Allen site, construction is underway on a 1 megawatt solar facility that will be operational this fall. Renewable energy is an important part of our energy mix, and the Allen solar facility will be the largest TVA-owned solar project in the area, with 3,000 solar panels on 3 acres. So with this solar facility and 5 megawatts of biogas generation, the Allen project will produce enough renewable energy to power nearly 3,000 homes. I do want to respond to some comments this morning about whether TVA is restricting the application or use of solar in the Valley. The answer to that is no. If you live in this country, you have an unrestricted right to put solar on your roof, solar on your business, solar on your property. And the only issue that we're having is how much do we want to subsidize this and who is going to pay for it. But if you would like solar, you have an unrestricted right to do that. Among our nuclear units, the third of 3 recent refueling outages is underway, as is work at Watts Bar 2 to return that unit to service. During the refueling outages, we invested heavily in upgrades to directly enhance nuclear safety and long-term reliability at each of these plants. And across the fleet, we're fostering a sustainable work environment that reflects the commitment of our employees to safety as the overriding concern. One of the comments this morning was about the chilled work environment at Watts Bar 1. We share that concern. We've been working for over a year to address it. Rather than me telling you the state of affairs, on March the 10th, the NRC issued a public document, the results of their inspection, and the document says that all workers interviewed felt free to raise concerns without any fear of retaliation. They're making progress in improving nuclear safety culture, and we have more work to do. That is a public document. If you go to the NRC website, you can see their analysis. And on SMRs, we have no current intention or plan or proposal to build an SMR. We are simply getting a site licensed by the NRC in case we ever have the opportunity and need to do that. I would just say, having completed Watts Bar 2 last year, I'm in no hurry to start another one, just as a personal matter. But we don't have any plans there other than to have a site ready if the opportunity is available and it's something that we need to do. In the area of energy efficiency, we recently marked a milestone in the E-Score program, which helps Valley residents make their homes more efficient. It's a joint program by TVA and the local power companies, and it's now helped more than 50,000 residents improve their home energy efficiency. These upgrades educate consumers about energy use, help them lower their bills, and boost local economies. You know, operating the power system, the generation and transmission assets, safely and reliably, requires long-term commitments to maintenance, capital spending, fuel, and other items. Our nuclear units provide economical baseload energy for the region around the clock. And nuclear energy powers about 4 out of every 10 homes across the valley. So among our recommendations to the board today are 2 contracts to help ensure a reliable fuel supply for Sequoia and Watts Bar units through the year 2030. One is with Louisiana Energy Services for the supply of uranium used in making fuel, and the other is with Westinghouse Electric or a successor as the best value supplier of fuel fabrication services. At our coal plants, we continue with a comprehensive program to convert all wet storage of coal ash to dry storage and meet environmental standards for water quality and effluent at those sites. This includes a number of projects through the year 2026, with multiple contracts for engineering, procurement, construction, operation, maintenance, and materials. So continue to managing this work effectively. We will ask today that the board renew its delegation of authority for blanket and project-specific contracts for those projects. We heard a few comments this morning about the fiber initiative. So in the transmission system, ongoing maintenance and periodic upgrades ensure we can deliver energy safely and reliably to our customers. And this includes having a fiber optic communication infrastructure that supports the power grid, from our generating plants to our substations to our connection point with customers. Our first fiber routes went into service in 1988, and much of that network is outmoded. We need to replace and expand that network to meet the power system's growing need for bandwidth, and to integrate new distributed energy resources into the system. So we'll recommend for the board's approval today a strategic fiber initiative that will better meet our needs for years to come. This initiative will take 5 to 10 years to complete. Will include 3,500 miles of fiber to enable broadband connections for most of our generating plants and most of our customers. This initiative will also create an opportunity for TVA to better serve the region in another core area, economic development. With a modernized fiber backbone for the transmission system, we have the potential to make some fiber capacity available to help local communities and rural areas attract and retain jobs. When a business considers locating or expanding in the valley, that business expects to have broadband connectivity as a basic operating requirement, whether it's a big business or a small startup. But all across the valley, we hear from public officials, business leaders, local power companies, that their communities continue to struggle to get this vital service. They need quality broadband service to continue to grow in today's world, much as they needed rural electrification in the days before TVA and local power companies came into existence. So this proposed effort would be a partnership between TVA and the Valley states. We'll partner with local power companies and other service providers who have the necessary expertise. And at all times, our efforts will be governed by the requirements that we maintain rate competitiveness and work in partnership with local power companies and others for the benefit of the public we serve. This is a long-term effort, and we'll provide regular updates and ask for board approval of plans and budgets each fiscal year. I make this last point explicitly because the funding of this initiative will be affected by other funding priorities. So we've been thinking and talking about fiber for several years, and been waiting for the right time to fit it into our long-term plan. And that plan, which we've been following since 2013, was premised on the projection that our major capital spending program would wind down significantly by 2018. And that is in fact happening. And if our projections remain accurate, capital should be available for this project without any financial implications. But there are a number of factors that could affect these projections and have a more immediate priority than fiber. Changes in the economy, changes in regulations, changes in our assumptions about the disposition of coal combustion residuals. All of these things could affect funding, just like in every year, things happen that affect your funding. So we will assess our projections and circumstances each budget year to ensure we have the capacity to undertake this project successfully. Moving on to the environment, managing the Tennessee River system is at the heart of our work. And as Mr. Forsbach said, this has been a challenging spring for us. The eastern part of the region went from drought conditions to record rainfall literally overnight. Heavy rain fell in Nashville on April 22nd and East Tennessee on April 23rd. Total rainfall in the Eastern Valley for April was 7.2 inches, which is the second highest rainfall in April in TVA history. Several reservoirs met and then well exceeded their target levels for summer. And so we had to move water systematically through the system to reduce downstream impacts. The good news is that along the way we generated as much low-cost hydro power as we could, and we will continue to be able to take advantage of this. Even so, when you have that much water in the system, you're going to have a little bit of localized flooding, and we understand the impact of this, but I also want to say thank you to David Bowling and his team for the excellent way they managed that river this year. There are a lot of benefits of that river and the river system, including recreation on the reservoirs. Summer approaching, TVA visitor centers at Kentucky Dam and 7 other sites are open, as are the TVA campgrounds. Last year, those campgrounds hosted more than 50,000 overnight stays and more than 350 campsites. So recreation is an important aspect of our region's economy. And researchers at the University of Tennessee recently put some dollar figures on the value of that recreation. We asked the university to assess the economic value of recreation made possible by these 49 reservoirs. So they conducted detailed surveys of 3 reservoirs and then provided a cross-section of the system. Extrapolated to the entire reservoir system, their data suggests spending by property owners and those who use the reservoirs has an economic impact of almost $12 billion a year. Generates almost $1 billion a year in state and local taxes, and creates more than 130,000 jobs. It averaged out, that $12 billion amounts to $1 billion of economic activity every year for every mile of shoreline on the Tennessee River and its tributaries. So that's an important and valuable resource we have. Elsewhere in economic development, we work with partners to attract quality jobs to the region and keep them here. And we work with communities to prepare them for economic growth. In the first 6 months of the fiscal year, TVA and our partners in this, and there are many partners, attracted or retained more than 46,000 jobs and about $4.8 billion in capital investment. Here in Middle Tennessee, those numbers include 600 new jobs and a $450 million investment by LG Electronics in Clarksville, 1,000 jobs at the Nissan Integrated Logistics Center Supplier Park in Smyrna, and 200 jobs at 12 Stone Health Partners in Murfreesboro. Elsewhere in the valley, last week, Nokian Tires announced plans to build a manufacturing facility in Dayton, Tennessee, creating at least 400 jobs and investing $360 million. In Memphis, Noritech announced plans for a new facility with as many as 160 jobs. Kobe Aluminum Automotive Products is expanding in Bowling Green. Afina Pharma is expanding in Cookeville. So these are impressive numbers and show good economic results for the region. I do want to thanks to all of the economic development players in the Valley, and keep up the good work. Now for the best part of this presentation. 2 TVA employees have received national recognition for their economic development efforts. Bill Adams and Jessica Bro. Those are lovely pictures of you on the screen. Bill is a senior target market specialist with a focus on product development. And Jessica is a regional consultant from Middle Tennessee, including here in Murfreesboro. She works with prospective and existing businesses and industries and economic development leaders. So Jessica and Bill have been named among North America's top 50 economic developers by Consultant Connect, an economic development consulting agency that represents national and international clients. So maybe a little round of applause for that. On the energy side of the business, 21 employees were recognized recently by the Electric Power Research Institute, known as EPRI, for their research and development work to improve the generation, delivery, and use of electricity. Their projects range from how to integrate more solar power into the power grid to a new technique for improving the heat rate efficiency in combined cycle gas plants. Their work helps TVA improve its operations and helps the entire industry as well. In another area, employee Denise Smith has been honored by the Department of Justice for her work in helping TVA be responsive to requests from the public for TVA records. The Department of Justice also noted our efforts to support transparency through other channels such as our website, tva.gov. These employees and others go the extra mile every day to do their jobs well, to serve the public, and to set the standard for how TVA carries out its mission. And it's a tribute to these employees that just yesterday, TVA was named by those employees to the Forbes list of America's best American employers. Now, the Forbes list is based on a confidential survey of 30,000 employees nationwide that the employers do not know is being conducted. I'm proud of that recognition for TVA and for our employees. Because together, we work to make life better for the people of the Valley. We do that through partnership with stakeholders I've mentioned, the public, our customers, state and local officials, boaters, campers, farmers, all kind of stakeholders. So I have something, if you give me a personal moment here, something to say to the TVA employees. So let's review what you've done over the last few years. You have eliminated almost $800 million in O&M costs. You've reduced our total effective power rate by almost 5% just from last year. You've brought new, cleaner energy online and continue to improve quality. You've begun $20 billion in capital improvements to the power system while reducing debt by $300 million. You've achieved 99.999% reliability in delivering energy to our customers for the 17th year in a row. You've measurably improved the partnership between TVA and our customers, and helped attract or retain more than 72,000 jobs for the region last year. Now, I know this has been hard. We've had to make a lot of hard decisions and hard choices. These were things that needed to be done to serve the people of the Valley and to serve the customers. But I'm quite pleased with what you've accomplished. You've made you have made TVA one of America's best employers. So I'm proud to be a TVA employee. I'm proud to be working on making life better here for everyone. Thank you, Chair Evans, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bill, for your leadership in helping lead the workforce to these accomplishments. So thank you very much as well.
On TVA's financial performance, John.
Good morning. So we're through the first half of 2017, a little bit more now with April behind us, but for the first 6 months results, overall net income was $313 million, so that's $183 million more than planned. We had a challenging, mild winter, but as Bill mentioned, our O&M expenses were $44 million favorable to budget because of the warm weather we had last summer, as well as some of the cost savings internally. Our debt levels are lower than what we expected, and therefore we have lower interest expense. And so overall, these lower expenses have more than offset the challenges we faced with lower revenue. That's kind of the summary. In terms of the income statement, in aggregate, our operating revenue was higher than planned, but the base revenue was lower. The fuel costs were actually higher. Bill mentioned the drought-like conditions that we saw through really most of the first half of the year led to about 40% less hydro. In addition, natural gas prices were higher this year than last year, almost $1 per MMBTU higher. And so our overall fuel rates were higher, and that led to higher revenue, but the base revenue was down. And then you can see the fuel and purchase power expense was higher, as you would expect, as those directly offset each other as a pass-through. You can see the $44 million in favorability in O&M, the $81 million in depreciation and taxes is really driven by depreciation. About once every 5 years, we update a depreciation study. We did that for 2017. That was concluded after we put our budget in place. And so as the useful life of some of our assets changed, we ended up with less depreciation expense than we had expected. And then you can see the $32 million in interest expense, so overall $313 million of net income, and that's slightly ahead of where we were at this point last year. In terms of the cash flow statement, as you would expect then with those results, cash flow from operations was favorable by $214 million. Our investing activity, this is kind of our last big year of investing. It's not as high as it was last year, but it's still a relatively heavy year for us. But $37 million less than what we had budgeted, as the construction group, Bob Deasy and his team have really done an excellent job of bringing in these large construction projects, not only on time, but under budget. And so that's creating favorability for us. So then, as you would expect, with that level of investing, as well as the operating cash flow, $214 million less in financing activity. So overall, our total ending financial obligations is right at $26 billion. So a relatively short financial summary, but overall, I think pretty good results that position us well going into the summer. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Thank you, John. Next quarter, the board will be considering TVA's budget, so the committee will spend time on this over the summer months. In his report, Bill Johnson mentioned the strategic fiber initiative that management has been developing for several months. Mike Skaggs, TVA's Executive Vice President of Operations, will present the request. Mike?
Good morning, thank you. And let it be known, I do feel very well today. So TVA uses operational fiber for power system control and transmission of information to support our operational and business needs. We do believe there is a need to upgrade and expand the network in order to meet future operational needs and help connect the valley. The current fiber backbone is not supporting our operational and future needs. The fiber optic network is outdated. In most cases, the capacity for that fiber network is insufficient. The existing network cannot meet the TVA operational and business needs for increased bandwidth. For example, we have 19 TVA operational generation sites that aren't connected to the existing fiber backbone. We also have limited network availability for new renewable generation sites, and we have limited existing capability with our local power companies currently, and it stands at a little less than 30%. So we feel it's necessary to upgrade the aging fiber infrastructure to expand the fiber network to improve TVA operations. That would include reliability and resiliency. It would allow us to efficiently incorporate distributed resources such as renewables into the TVA system for the future, and it would help us create an opportunity for TVA to utilize its excess fiber capacity to provide a backbone to connect the valley while maintaining power rate competitiveness and affordability. Both large industrial plants and small startups seek when they come here looking for a site, do we have the existing capability for broadband services? So connecting the valley would be a partnership with TVA and the states who have announced programs to help take the broadband into homes and businesses. On the next slide is an overview. So we plan on upgrading and installing approximately 3,500 miles of fiber optic network, which would help maintain the power rate competitiveness and affordability. Our current estimates stand at about $30 to $50 million per year over a 5 to 10 year plan. And the routes will be prioritized based on the operational benefits and the economic development drivers. Based on the approval, we would start this summer on some engineering work, and then we would start hopefully on construction in the fall. So going forward on the next slide, the initial routes and build out will be refined to maximize the operational and economic benefits that we derive. We would, on TVA's board's approval of the project, we would start spending time with the customers, local power companies, the state and local governments to make sure that we take their ideas and recommendations into consideration as we design out the fiber backbone. We would use rigorous project management techniques to help build out and develop the fiber backbone. We would utilize workshops where we would invite the people that would be involved with that area of the fiber or that route to make sure that their needs and concerns are built into design as much as possible. And we would also annually talk to the finance group and portfolio committee to make sure they understood and were acceptance to the plan that we had for that year, including the costs that we planned on spending. On the last slide, so we recommend approval of the Strategic Fiber Initiative project. The authorization would give the CEO the approval to approve contracts, projects, and the programmatic efforts that we would need to take on in accordance with approved budgets to implement the project. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you, Mike. The committee has reviewed TVA's plan to develop fiber connectivity across the system and believes it will have many ancillary benefits for the valley. We recommend authorizing the CEO to approve contracts, projects, and programmatic efforts to implement the fiber initiative as set out in the resolution behind tab 6 in your notebook. This program will be subject to the board's annual budget approvals, and I move the resolution's approval.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Actually, I have one question for
Sure.
Mike. So, assuming approval and keeping in mind that I live in Nashville, what will be the priority of routes? How do you decide?
We are in the process right now, the employees in transmission are working on developing all the benefits that come from operational characteristics of a new fiber backbone, as well as the economic developments. We're tallying all that information, and then we'll use that information to make sure we pick the routes appropriately. So I don't know exactly right now when the route would come through Nashville, but I'm sure based on the discussion that we had this morning and the growth that's going on here, that would play heavily into where it would be ranked. And so you can rest assured it'll be up there in one of the top routes.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, thank you, Mike. All those in favor of approving the item behind tab 6?
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, this item has been approved.
Management brought 2 requests to the committee regarding the procurement of services supporting the nuclear fleet. One involves the fabrication of fuels for our reactors. The other involves an earlier stage in the fueling process, the conversion of uranium ore to uranium hexafluoride, or UF6. I have asked TVA Executive Vice President for Generation, Joe Grimes, to present the 2 items Joe, after you're finished with the fuel fabrication item, we will call for that vote before we move to the second item.
Thank you, I understand. Good morning. As noted earlier, TVA must buy nuclear fuel fabrication and ensure an adequate supply for our reactors at both Sequoia and Watts Bar. So for consideration today for the board will be to delegate to the CEO the authority to approve a contract with a value up to $450 million and a proposed term of 14 years. For some general background, here's a picture of the nuclear fuel cycle. Fabrication part is actually in the heavy red circle. Fuel fabrication is the last step in the process of turning uranium into nuclear fuel. And on the far right is a fully assembled fuel bundle. There were two bidders, both are United States fabricators. Westinghouse provides a competitive offer for the fabrication and would provide all of our fabrication needs for Sequoia and Watts Bar from 2021 through 2030. The pricing compares favorably with the other competitive offer. Their fuel has good performance and the technical support tools perform well for us. I do want to clearly note for the board though, that based on public announcement that Westinghouse had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in late March. This restructure is expected to separate the reactor services and fuels businesses out from their more challenged business areas. Westinghouse's fuel business, for your information, supplies about 75% of the pressurized water reactors in the United States. Our Sequoia and Watts Bar stations are of a similar design. TVA is very closely monitoring this serious challenge for Westinghouse, and we put in place requirements that will ensure that Westinghouse provide the appropriate credit performance assurance to our corporate credit group prior to us moving forward. Only after receiving assurance that TVA's interests are adequately protected will we then move forward with the finalization. That would then support the recommendation to delegate to the CEO the authority to approve the contract with either Westinghouse or a successor entity. And again, as noted, the value is up to $450 and the proposed term is 14 years. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments?
It is a troubling time with one of the country's principal supply providers in the nuclear industry filing for bankruptcy. And I'm reassured that you have taken that into account in requiring the credit performance assurance of the contract before signing it, any contract before signing any contract with Westinghouse. So please continue to look for ways to protect TVA against any financial liabilities in the event that there are continued problems that might challenge this purchase. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we will, and we'll continue to have the nuclear folks work closely with our finance folks and credit insurance.
Okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
The Finance Committee recommends granting authority to approve this contract as set out in resolution behind tab 8 in your notebook. I move the resolution's approval.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion or any questions? All in favor of approving the item behind tab 8?
Aye.
All opposed? This item has been approved.
Joe will also be presenting the uranium feed contract for consideration.
As Director Wilter noticed, TVA must buy uranium feed to ensure that we have an adequate and secure supply for the fleet. So for board consideration today is to approve awarding a contract for Louisiana Energy Services for uranium feed for TVA's plants through 2030. So I'll show you the nuclear fuel cycle picture again. For this contract, we're looking over on the left-hand side, which is the initial steps that create the mining and milling to get the initial feed. The base contract is for the term from 2023 through 2030. Current favorable nuclear fuel market conditions support the opportunity to secure long-term uranium requirements. And given these favorable market conditions, we had multiple bidders. LES provide competitive offers for the feed that would provide some of our uranium feed needs through the entire time frame. Pricing compared very favorably and continues to support a United States-based supplier for this feed. The contract also provides flexibility based on our future needs. Our recommendations approve the contract with LES to provide uranium feed for TVA's nuclear plants through 2030, not to exceed the value of $500 million. Any questions?
The Finance Committee recommends approval of this contract as set out in the resolution behind tab 10 in your notebook. I move the resolution's approval.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This item has been approved. Ron, this continues to be your show.
It's a good show, too, then. The committee also reviewed TVA's long-term program to eliminate wet storage of coal combustion residuals, or CCRs. Joe will present management's recommendation regarding the contract authorizations that will be needed to move this program forward. Joe?
Thank you, sir. This will be for the board's consideration and approval, the authorization for the CEO to approve the necessary contracts for the execution for CCR work and Clean Water Act related projects and activities. The total combined value will not exceed $1.9 billion, and the term of the contracts goes out through the end of 2026. I'll provide some background. As you know, we have a comprehensive strategy in progress to meet TVA's commitment to move from wet to dry CCR storage and comply with the CCR rule. The Environmental Protection Agency deems a closure in place and closure by removal are protective of the environment. Through our own work and studies, we have reached the same conclusion as we completed those evaluations. We'll continue to comply with the requirements of the Clean Water Act and establish a robust monitoring plan to ensure the long-term safe storage, as we are converting all of our CCR storage from wet to dry systems, including use of state-of-the-art dry landfills. To perform the work, we'll need to enter into contracts with various contractors for materials and services. The approach for the awarding of the contracts under the proposed delegation will include competitive bidding requirements as set forth in the TVA Act.